So much of what we talk about when we talk about financial freedom, financial independence, retirement is focusing on one thing, and that is hitting your number. Whether your number is $1 million, $1.5 million, or $2 million, once you hit your number, theoretically, you're good to go. But according to Nobel Prize-winning economist William Sharpe, that's actually the easy part. The hardest part of retirement isn't building the portfolio. It's turning that portfolio into an income stream that you can live on for the rest of your life. Sharpe called this the retirement income puzzle. The idea behind this is simple. Saving for retirement, that's one problem. Then learning how to spend it safely is another, and it's actually a much harder problem. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin, and welcome back to the channel. Once you get to retirement, there's no single solution that gives you everything you want. Growth, stability, income, flexibility, and security. You can generally have some of these, but you typically can't have all of them at the exact same time. During your working years, the goal is actually pretty simple. Maximize growth. You earn a paycheck, you take a portion of it, you invest it, and then you repeat the process, and you do this consistently for decades. The reason it works is everything is pretty aligned. Time is on your side, compounding will do the heavy lifting, and your job is to just stay consistent. And this is really the reason you don't see many 20 or 30-year-olds sitting with financial advisors saying, how do I grow my wealth? Because in the accumulation phase, and especially early on, it's pretty straightforward. Then something happens. Once you step into retirement, the entire equation flips. Now you're depending on your portfolio. Rather than having one goal, now you have multiple goals, and they're competing against each other. You need income to fund your life. You need growth to make the money last. You need stability to avoid large losses. You need flexibility for the unexpected and security so you can actually feel okay in all of this. And here's the problem. Some of these goals are in direct conflict with each other. For example, stocks give you growth, but they also give you volatility when you need income. Bonds and cash give you stability, but they may not give you enough growth for a portfolio to last a lifetime. Annuities give you predictability, but they force you to give up liquidity and control. And on top of that, you now have to pull money out of the portfolio to live, which introduces a completely new layer of risk. So instead of everything working together, now we're balancing trade-offs, and there's no one single plan that accomplishes all of these goals perfectly. It comes down to your preferences. This is where the puzzle really begins. Because in retirement, you're making decisions in the face of massive uncertainty. You don't know how long you'll live. You don't know how the markets will perform. You don't know how inflation will behave. You don't know what your long-term healthcare costs will be. And yet you still have to build a plan that works, even though many of the solutions are in direct conflict with each other. So let's step back. I want to talk about a few very specific pressure points that define whether a retirement plan actually works. First, there's the income trade-off. You can create a guaranteed income stream through a product like an annuity and eliminate your risk of running out of money. But the moment you do, you give up liquidity, you give up control, you give up flexibility. So really, do you want certainty or do you want control? Because for most of us, we have finite resources, so we can't have 100% of both. Second, there's timing risk. This is what we call sequence of returns risk, and this is a very important risk to pay attention to in retirement, and this is why we talk about it a lot. Because if the market drops early on in retirement, while you're withdrawing, those losses don't just hurt, they stick. They compound in reverse, which means two people with the exact same portfolio can end up in wildly different places in their retirement, depending on what happened with the market in the early years of their retirement when they started drawing from their portfolio. Third, there's the problem of false certainty. This is where rules like the 4% rule can give a sense of security that isn't 100% real, because those rules assume stable markets, consistent spending, and no behavioral changes. And that's not how retirement actually works. The markets move, spending changes, and people adjust. These rigid rules don't hold up when we have a life that doesn't stick to a rigid plan. Safe withdrawal rates are safe if you stick to them. But what if life throws you a curveball and that forces you to deviate far away from your safe withdrawal rate? Well, now you might be more dependent on market cooperation. And finally, this might be the most important piece of all, There's a human side of money. Truly, retirement has to be about maximizing how your income feels and maximizing your experience. It can't just be focusing on your net portfolio. And what we consistently see in the research from people like Michael Fink and David Blanchett is that stable, predictable income streams tend to matter more to people than a higher yet uncertain return from a portfolio. So even when the math is similar, a guaranteed paycheck tends to feel better and feel safer than a portfolio. This human element is really important to pay attention to because in the face of uncertainty, behavior can get in the way. Fear leads to underspending, living smaller than you need to. Panic leads to selling at the worst possible time, and overconfidence leads to spending too much too fast. So all of this is to say we're not strictly dealing with a financial problem, we're dealing with a human problem as well. And it's just as important that you learn to manage yourself, your emotions, and your behavior in retirement, as well as managing your money. At this point, you can probably start to see something. Not all retirement situations are created equal, and there are certain factors that can make this retirement problem easier or harder to solve. Let's start with what makes it harder. Retiring early sounds great, but it comes with a longer retirement timeline. That introduces more market risk, more uncertainty, more time that your money has to last. High fixed expenses also create added pressure to your portfolio because you cannot adjust these expenses or thereby your withdrawal if the market doesn't cooperate. And if you have no guaranteed income, that means your entire lifestyle is dependent on your portfolio. And if all your assets are invested in a volatile market, well, now you're fully exposed to sequence risk right when it could matter most. Rigid withdrawal strategies, well, that can make things worse because it doesn't give you the ability to adapt if the market doesn't cooperate. And what if you go into retirement with only a single account? And let's say that's a traditional account with a very robust balance. Well, that can create another issue. Down the road, you could run into very large RMDs, and this can create a larger tax burden than you would have otherwise planned for. So it's best to spread your money and your investments out among different investment buckets so you can have a better tax picture. And now let's flip it. What actually makes this easier? A strong Social Security base is one of the biggest advantages you can have because this gives you a guaranteed inflation-adjusted lifetime income stream. And if you go into retirement with a pension or even a partial annuitization of a piece of your income, this again adds to a stronger foundation. And what about flexible spending? This is huge. This gives you the ability to adapt in retirement. And having low costs, this is great in retirement because this gives you breathing room. And in retirement, breathing room is everything because most people go into retirement with a fixed income stream. So you want to keep your expenses in check. And diversifying your income sources rather than relying on just one, this adds resilience to your strategy. And one of the most powerful levers of all, I have to say it, is delaying Social Security. And that's not to say that everyone should delay Social Security or that even everyone has that option. But if you do have this option, this can be a very powerful move because it gives you a more robust income floor. This reduces your reliance on your portfolio. It really acts as longevity insurance. So if this is the puzzle that William Sharpe talks about, how do we actually solve for it? Well, we know we can't solve for it perfectly, but there are some practical steps we can take. Number 1, build an income floor. Start by covering your essentials with income you can rely on, whether that is Social Security, perhaps a pension, perhaps an annuity, maybe even part-time work. This creates your baseline. This is your retirement paycheck. This is income you can rely on no matter what is happening in the world around you. That alone reduces stress. That reduces sequence risk because you're not as reliant on your portfolio. Number 2, separate safety from growth. Not all of your money has the same job. Your near-term spending, that should be stable, predictable, and protected. Your long-term spending, that should be invested for growth. And this is one of the reasons I love a bucket approach so much because it allows you to separate your money by when it's needed. You can time segment your money. But every time I talk about a bucket strategy, I like to mention that it's not automatically mathematically superior. What it does is it allows you to mentally separate your money, not capture a superior performance. But being able to visualize your money and when you need it and know it's appropriately allocated can be incredibly helpful and calming when you're planning on having your money last for the next 30 years or so. It can feel emotionally safe to know that your next 5 years of spending are covered and that you have money invested to cover the next 10, 20, or even 30 years down the road. Number 3, embrace flexibility. This is one of the highest impact levers you have, and this is one people don't often think about in the appropriate way. You don't need to make massive cuts to your spending. Even minor cuts or minor trims, as we could phrase them, maybe a 3 to 5% trim in your draw from your portfolio can have an outsized impact on increasing the safety and the longevity of your portfolio. And I think it's really important to look at this in the proper context when we talk about reducing spending by, say, 3 or 5%. Let's say we have a retiree who has an income of $6,000 per month. Half is covered by Social Security, half is covered by their portfolio. If you reduce your draw from your portfolio by 5%, you've reduced your total income by only 2.5%. In this case, just $150 per month. That is not life-altering because remember, your portfolio is not covering your full spending. It's only covering a portion of it. Research from Jonathan Guyton and William Klinger shows that changes like this can increase sustainable withdrawal rates by 0.5% or more. And that might not sound like much, but if you have $1 million portfolio, this could increase your income by $5,000 a year or more. And in many cases, a flexible strategy can improve success rates of a portfolio by 10 to 15 percentage points. I would also add this is why having a budget in retirement is so incredibly important, because once you have a budget, you can truly pinpoint what your essential spending is and what your discretionary spending is. And you never want to have to adjust your essential spending. But once you know where your discretionary spending lives, that gives you greater flexibility. Number 4, use Social Security strategically. Truly, I say this all the time, but Social Security is one of the most powerful tools you have in retirement. It is guaranteed, it lasts for life, and it is inflation adjusted. And when you delay it, you're effectively buying more lifetime income. For couples, this becomes even more important, especially for the higher earner, because it strengthens survivor protection. And again, I want to reiterate that not everyone can or should delay when they claim Social Security. But when you do delay, you give yourself a stronger income floor. Number 5, build a system, not a single strategy. William Sharpe's real message is that there isn't one best approach, and this is something I constantly reiterate on this channel. The goal is to build a system. Your system is likely going to come down to a combination of guaranteed income, portfolio withdrawals, and flexible spending. You build a resilient plan by having all of these different pieces work together. Number 6, reduced fixed expenses before you retire. This one is massively underrated. Housing and healthcare alone can make up 40 to 50% of a retiree's budget, and these categories are very hard to adjust. And the more fixed costs you stack on top of your baseline fixed costs, the more rigid your plan becomes. You don't have the ability to flex your strategy if the market performs poorly. But if you keep your fixed costs to a minimal portion of your budget and a larger portion of your budget is going to more discretionary expenses, well, lo and behold, you've already built in a lot of flexibility. It's easy to skip going on a trip or going out to dinner if the market is down. You can't easily skip your prescriptions if the market is down. Now, before I go any further, there's an important part of the discussion that happens once you hit your mid-60s. One of the biggest wild cards in retirement is healthcare, and this is where our focus comes to Medicare. And this is an area where people can unintentionally make some very costly mistakes because Medicare is a very complicated system. There are multiple parts, different plan types, income-related adjustments, and your decisions can directly impact your monthly premiums, your out-of-pocket costs, and even how your prescriptions are covered. And this is exactly why I've partnered with Chapter. Chapter is a Medicare advisory platform that helps you compare plans across all carriers. They'll look at your doctors, your prescriptions, your zip code, your healthcare needs, and help you find the plan that is right for you. And it doesn't cost anything extra to work with them. So if you're approaching Medicare or already on Medicare and want a second opinion, they're a wonderful resource because when it comes to healthcare, this is not something you want to guess on. I have an affiliate link down below, as well as a phone number if you would like personalized guidance. There is no one way to solve the retirement income puzzle. You need to find a way that balances all of these pieces in the face of a few decades of uncertainty and in a way that brings you the greatest peace of mind. Ultimately, how we all go about solving this system is likely to be different, but you need a system that works for you. And for most people, it's not solely dependent on hitting one big portfolio number. More likely than not, it involves stable income, some flexibility, and some peace of mind. So what are your thoughts on the retirement income puzzle, and how do you plan on solving for it? Leave a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh my goodness, this was like awful. Cannot adjust or adjust. Partial annuitization. Oh gosh, I said it weird. I'm gonna go again. And when I talk about, my eyes just darted somewhere for an affiliate link to, that was so close.